chair of this phenomenal Ozaukee County party. According to Charles Franklin at the Marquette Bowl, we have moved faster and faster and faster blue than any other county since 2018. Yeah! Last week I had the honor of representing the 6th CD at the DNC convention, and the pressure was on everybody I met when you found out you were from Wisconsin. You said you're going to do it, right? But we're going to auction this off next Thursday at our gala. So get your tickets. So that's really cool. We know how serious and important this election is. We know that. We know that in our hearts. And we know that the stakes are so incredibly great. All the things we know and love about this country will not be here if we don't win. That's right. And as Michelle Obama said, we all have to do something. So it's fun to do rallies, it's fun to do all of this, but if you don't do something when you leave, if we don't fight, we won't win. But we are going to fight, and we are going to win! Who has worked her entire life to make sure our lives are better as consumers, as families, and it is our great honor in Ozaukee County to have Senator Warren.
Fights for abortion rights, so I fight for Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris fights for economic stability for America's middle-class families, so I fight for Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris fights for our democracy, so I fight for Kamala Harris. Each of those for just a minute, just so we all stay focused in. We live in America today where nearly 40% of all women live in a state that effectively bans access to abortion. I have met with the women who talk about being in the middle of a miscarriage, going into a hospital emergency room and being told that we know what the medical procedure is that you need, but you're not near enough death for us to do what you need. So you need to go back out to the parking lot and hemorrhage for another few hours and then come back in and let us check. And if you are then close enough to death, we can give you the medical care that we need. That is the current situation for nearly 40% of the women in America. If Donald Trump and J.D. Vance take the White House, it won't be 40%. It will be 100% of women, and that is why we are in this fight. Now, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have figured out that their extremist views on abortion, on contraception, on IVF are way outside the mainstream. Way outside. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to gaslight us. They're trying to say, no, you girls just don't understand. Trust us. We're going to let the states decide. Yeah, that's working out great for 40% of our sisters in this country. And they say, but the rest of you don't have to worry about this. Understand. Hearing the words trust us, particularly after one Supreme Court nominee after another, from Donald Trump, from every Republican, stood up and swore until the world looked level. I understand settled law. That's what Roe is. trust us. Well, burn us once, shame on you. Burn us twice, that's not happening. There is one and only one way to protect access to abortion, to protect access to contraception, to protect access to IVF, and that is to elect Kamala Harris as president, Democrats, including Tammy Baldwin, in the Senate. We get Kamala in the White House, and we get skinniest possible majority in the House and in the Senate, and believe you me, Roe versus Wade will be law of the land again in America. So this is the issue thrust upon us, and that we will vote on November 5th. But there's a second issue we need to talk about as well, and that is the long-term hollowing out of America's middle class. How hard it has become for young families, how hard it is for seniors, how hard it is for people who work hard, play by the rules, and just have a difficult time making it to the end of the month. So here's the deal. That issue about your family's economic security is also right at the heart of the 2024 election. And I want you to know, Donald Trump actually has a plan. He has actually put this plan out. And this plan, the big economic difference he's going to make for families is this. He's going to give a giant tax break to billionaires. It averages $3.5 million a year for each billionaire in the United States. I'm glad many of you feel better. Billionaires will feel loved and supported. They'll have more money to spend. And how does he plan to pay for it? They've laid out the details right there in Project 2025. It's to raise taxes on America's middle class. $2,600 a year for the average family of four. Donald Trump's economic plan is help the rich and the powerful get richer and more powerful and let everybody else in America eat dirt. Well, we say no, we can do better than that, and we will turn Donald Trump back come November 5th. Has economic plans. I know. When you're up against Trump, that's a little, it tells you the playing field doesn't look quite the same. So here's what Kamala wants to do. Let's start. I just have to do these quick. But I want to make sure you know these. When you knock on doors, when you talk to people on the phone, what's the first thing Kamala wants to do? She wants a fairer tax system. And her idea of a fairer tax system is we cut taxes for working people, we cut taxes for families with brand new babies, and we make the billionaires pay their fair share to run this country. What else does Kamala want to do? Kamala understands we've got a problem in this country. We've got a problem right here in Wisconsin. We don't have enough housing. Year after year after year, we've all stood by and said, housing prices are going up. They're just unbelievable. And today, young families can't afford to get into home ownership, right? What I could do 2 generations back, they can't do today. How many people are closed out of housing? And that's true for people who want to buy. It's also true for people who want to rent. So Kamala Harris says, I'm going after the housing problem head on. The number one thing she says is, this is Econ 101. Why do housing prices keep going up so fast? Because our population grows and we're just not building enough houses. So Kamala says we can make the federal government a good partner for the communities that want to build more housing. So we're going to make a federal investment, build nationwide 3 million new housing units. And who will they be for? They'll be for first-time home buyers. They'll be for renters. They'll be for seniors who need to move in the kind of living they have. People with disabilities, people who don't have any housing, veterans. In other words, we need more housing for everyone. And while she's doing housing, Kamala also is going to take on the corporations who are sneaking through our communities and buying up today's housing, pulling it off the market so it's not there for others to buy, turning it into rental property at jacked up rents. Kamala is ready to take on private equity and say we're going to have a housing market that doesn't just work for a handful of Wall Street investors. We're going to have a housing market that works for families right here in Wisconsin. Ready to take on grocery prices. And the way she's going to do this is she's going to take on those companies that are just out there price gouging. She said, I get it. After the pandemic, sure, there were problems in the supply chain. The war in Ukraine meant that commodity prices went up. I get passing along prices. But many of these giant corporations have said, inflation has been very good to them, because while everyone is talking about prices going up, they didn't just pass along price increases. Instead, they jacked their prices way above that. How do we know that? Because we've watched their profit margins go up. Besides that, don't take my word for it, get on the quarterly earnings calls with these guys. Corporate executives say right out loud to their investors, inflation, best thing that's happened in years, because now we are able to raise our prices and pad out our profits at levels we've never seen before. Kamala says, not right, not fair. I'm going to borrow from states like Wisconsin that currently have price gouging laws, and I'm going to take them national so we can bring down the price of groceries for families across this country. There's more. Kamala's taking on health care. She was the tie-breaking vote for $35 insulin. Anybody in here loves someone? Approach that Kamala uses. This is the approach that Democrats use. Some of it is not very sexy. Some of it is deeply detailed, but it always drives in the same direction. It's always about who are you trying to help. What are you trying to get done? I've known Kamala Harris for 14 years. We first met in the aftermath of the 2008 crash. And I was setting up CFPB, as I always say, go CFPB. And Kamala was Attorney General out in California. The first conversation I ever got into with Kamala Harris was about how can I help the families of California who have been cheated by big banks, who are now in the middle of foreclosure, who are losing their homes, communities that are being devastated. What are the tools available to me? And here was the best part about Kamala. She wasn't afraid to use them. She picked them up, and when every other attorney general was backing up, said, okay, we got a little something from the banks here, that's good enough. Kamala's view was you broke the law. It's not good enough until you've paid the people that you hurt. That's Kamala is going to help America's working families, America's middle class, America's seniors, people who do the hard work to make this country run. But there's one more thing I've got to mention, and that is the part about democracy. And the reason I have to mention this one is I want you to think about right now the difference between the two parties. What have the Republicans got? What's their real oomph? And that is their donor class, the millionaires, who show up, they're putting tons of money in, that'll be plenty of ads, they'll be able to hire people to do all kinds of things. What is our superpower? Our superpower is you. Our superpower is that Democrats actually show up and do the work. They actually look people in the eye when they ask them for their votes. They actually know why they are in the fight. And for some, it's different than for others. I was a special education teacher. Something that always matters to me is we are in the fight for different reasons, but our reasons all come together that we believe in building an America that doesn't just work for a handful of billionaires, and we have to stand around and hope that they will toss crumbs from their table to the rest of us. That we actually believe that power lies with the people and that we have the power to build a better future. So I want to make a particular pitch to all of you. It's the importance of getting in the fight and of making the pitch at every door for Kamala, making the pitch at every door for Tammy, making the pitch, though, at every door for every Democrat who have the courage to step up and run for office. I've got a bad piece of news for you, and that is I've seen data lately that shows across the country Republicans vote all the way down the ticket. Democrats say, you know, person who's running for state rep, I'm not really sure I know that person. I'm not, so I just won't vote there. I'm sorry, if that person is running as a Democrat, you do know that person. You know what they They did not sign on for the billionaires. They did not sign on for an America that is about division. They signed on for an America where we build a future together. So, I just want to say, as the representative of the other 49 states and Puerto Rico, we're counting on you, Wisconsin. This is how we're going to remember it. And that is, we're going to do this together. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win.